Ms. Thompson, you say that after your brother's sudden death just months ago, the defendant began harassing your family for financial benefits, and you are here to defend his honor by proving he is not the biological father of her 3-month-old daughter, Nevaeh. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lee, you state the plaintiff's brother, Kevin Harris, is 100% your daughter's father, and say today's results will prove your case and clear your name. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Thompson, so how positive are you that he is not the father?
I'm 100% positive.
Explain.
My brother was 100% positive that he was not the father. He stated that Ms. Lee was a money-hungry, compulsive liar.
Really?
Yes.
What else did he tell you?
Well, he told me that basically she was just one of the ladies that he was sleeping with at the time, and she claimed to be pregnant by him.
But he did not believe that?
No.
How did you find out specifically about Miss Lee?
Well, one day he was at my house, and I was going through his phone and saw pictures of various different women in his phone, and not so...
In compromising positions?
Yes.
Okay.
So I got to asking, who is this lady? Who is this lady? One of the ladies happened to be her, and he told me, this is the girl who claims that she's pregnant by me.
When he said that, did you say, well, are you the father or not?
I did ask him. I began, like, what do you mean claims to be pregnant by you? Is she pregnant? He was like, yes, she's pregnant, but it's not my baby.
Did he tell you why he was so certain he was not the father?
He didn't believe he was the father just because of her reputation. I personally don't know, but this is what he has stated to me. You know,
what did he say about her reputation?
that she was with someone else.
But he knew that that wouldn't exclude him as being the father.
No. He was just adamant that was not his child.
Ms. Lee?
He's a straight liar. He has multiple women.
Yes.
And he's a ladies' man. Yeah, he gonna run and tell his family this and this and that, but they're on the outside looking in, you know? And we were very close.
Y'all were close?
I say very close. I mean, he'll come pick me up.
With other women?
We go sleep.
With other
at
women?
his house. And,
with other women?
No, he might go with them other women. You feel me? When he dropped me off at the house.
No.
You know the routine. Look,
No.
when you drop me off at the house. Oh yeah, you can go
Your
pick
Honor.
them up and ride around and do whatever you do, but not around me.
But you were sleeping with him, right?
Right, and I know exactly what happened when we got pregnant, what day, all of that.
What happened? Tell me.
Okay, ma'am, he called me, and I was hanging out with some friends at a hotel. He came and got me. We went to the house. We did what we did. After that, I cleaned up, and after I cleaned up, I threw up. And my body reacted and started changing automatically. And I found out.
You were pregnant in seconds.
And I went to the store the next day, and I got 2 pregnancy tests, and they both came positive. I called him, and he said, oh, that's not my baby, that's not my baby.
Exactly.
Because he had multiple women.
Are you suggesting that after unprotected sex, you instantly knew you were pregnant?
Yes, ma'am. I threw up, and because I was drinking, of course, I was kicking it with some friends.
You don't think you're throwing up from the liquor, you were throwing up because you were pregnant instantly.
I kept throwing up. You're not getting me, love. It wasn't just the
Hold on.
I threw up twice.
Wait, let's get something straight. I'm not your love.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now we'll return to our regularly scheduled programming. The obvious question is, were you just already pregnant?
No, ma'am. And I
Your
got
Honor, this isn't the first time that she claimed to be pregnant by him. Also, this is his
that's
words.
a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. I ain't never. I don't want to be pregnant. You hear me? I ain't never walked around talking about. Look how little I am. Come on now.
All right, hold on. You're saying this is the second time?
From his words.
What do you mean?
His words is that was the second time she claimed to be pregnant by him. My question was, why were you still having unprotected sex with her? And he said, because she was already pregnant.
We never use protection, baby. I don't know what she talking about. See, like I said, they on the outside looking in.
Exactly.
Once again,
because if I was on the inside, we wouldn't be here today.
One at a time.
Listen, baby, we're so close, they don't even know.
Your Honor.
You hear me?
What was the nature of your relationship?
We were together for 6 years, love.
If you call me love one more time,
Oh, I'm sorry, it's a habit.
trust me, I get it, but you got to break it now.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so you were together for 6 years.
Yes.
You weren't committed because you're saying he had other girls.
We were on up and downs, on and off.
On and off.
Correct.
So you also dated other people?
No.
You've
not
never
at all.
dated any other people?
No.
What is he promising you?
A dream.
Like to get married?
Yes, to get
Your Honor,
married. He did
I
not tell me
object.
that he was going to get married.
I object. Anyone who knows my brother knows he wasn't even a marrying type. He was with a number of women, at least 9. At least 9. She wasn't even in the top 10. So no, you cannot sit here and say that.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
Your Honor, the only reason my family even have issues with Miss Lee is because of the constant disrespect to my family. It's been
What
constant.
disrespect have I gave them?
The day after we found out he was deceased, she and her friend went to the house.
And I got my belongings
No,
I bought
no,
him,
ma'am.
which is
No,
the
ma'am.
Jordans that
No,
I bought
ma'am.
him for his birthday,
No,
a
ma'am.
Jordan shirt,
Your
and
Honor.
some Jordan
Your
socks,
Honor.
and the rest
But they
of
were
the stuff that I
all
bought.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You
Hold on.
purchased it. If you purchased them, you purchased those items for
What
him.
happened?
You're
Ms.
exactly
Thompson?
right, and he's dead and deceased, so I'm gonna take what I bought, of course. And I want something
Hold
in memory
on.
of him. I bought it, I'm gonna get it.
Hold on. Tell me what happened, Miss Thompson.
My brother was in a horrific car accident, a single car accident. The day we found out that he was dead, it broke us.
Take your time.
The next day, I get up to start preparing to bury my little brother. And I get a phone call that Miss Lee and one of his acquaintances went to his house and started collecting belongings that belonged to him. I did call her, found her, called her, asked her to return the things. She returned some of the things. It was just the principle, It was the principle behind that. Because if she would have came to us and just said, hey, I want something to remember him by. Because we know he had, multiple women who, probably wanted a
Why
piece
would I
of
do
him.
that in the way y'all said?
Like I
never
said.
liked me.
Like I said, we didn't know you at that time.
You still don't know me.
Exactly.
You think you
I know
me.
nothing of you.
You're exactly right. About
So
what you
therefore,
think you heard.
if she would have came to us in the proper way and asked for something, I promise you, she would have got something.
And so your family in that moment felt disrespected.
Very disrespected.
And the initial meeting, the introduction went
Exactly.
wrong.
Exactly.
First impression was destroyed.
Exactly.
Miss Thompson, leading up to the birth,
Yes.
after your brother unfortunately passed away, what are you all thinking? You're saying he
Well,
told us it wasn't his child,
yes.
so we're not even going to be apart? Or are you
You're
saying
exactly right.
there's a possibility that he is, we're going to try to be present?
Well, Your Honor, rewind back to when we're planning for his services and whatnot. Of course, he didn't have life insurance. So we did a benefit barbecue in his honor, and we had a lot of people that we grew up with, friends, family, and whatnot, come, and they donated so that we can bury my brother. And the day after the barbecue, one of my family members gets a phone call from Miss Lee stating, when is the reading of the will? My baby's entitled to something.
That is a
Benefit
lie.
barbecue.
I asked her mom for the social security number,
was the
baby.
day after she
baby,
was
that is
born.
a lie. I ain't
That was
said
the
nothing about no
then,
will. For one, I know he
the
didn't have no
day.
life insurance. For one, y'all didn't have no tombstone. Y'all needed some money for a lot of stuff. You feel me?
So use your testimony that you did not do that.
No, ma'am.
She did.
What I did was call your mama and ask for a social security number,
Okay.
and she said no.
Okay, the day after the baby was born, she called another family member, not my mom, and asked her for his social security number. So that was the second time that she's asked for the social
And you're
security
asking
number.
for the social security number for what?
I asked one time, and so my baby can have some benefits, so she can have what she needs.
But we
I'm
haven't
struggling.
proved-
You hear me?
proven
I
that
had
this
no,
is
I
his
have not
child.
got no help from them. They ain't bought no vein.
Not a
nothing.
diaper.
You're
not
right.
a sack
And when
of
you do,
milk,
you can
nothing.
keep
Ms.
it,
Lee,
baby.
Don't let your pride sacrifice an opportunity
Amen.
for your child
Okay, you
to
right.
get what she needs.
You're right.
If this is his biological child, don't let your pride block her blessings.
Amen.
Miss Lee, do you feel like maybe he didn't tell his family
The truth.
about your relationship because you were young.
You're
and he
exactly
was a
right.
lot
You're
older
exactly
than
right.
And Your Honor, if this is proven to be his child, we have no problems with her, withdrawing Social Security. If she needed diapers, of course, we would get diapers. But we've asked from day one. From the first time I met you, did I not ask you for a DNA test? And then I said,
Yes,
once
you
we
did.
get a DNA test, then everything will fall into place. But you cannot call me and ask me for anything.
When you
Sugar
asked for the
stuff.
DNA test,
Uh-huh.
were you asking because you believe this young woman was sleeping with someone else, or were you asking for it because
That's
your
what my
brother
said. That's what
expressed?
my brother said.
I was asking because, number one, my brother did not believe it was his child. And number two, just to get everything cleared all up.
Were you
there's no
offended,
question.
Miss Lee, when they asked you for the DNA test, or were you
You're
understanding?
exactly right.
You
because,
were offended.
For one, look at her. And not only that, I don't have to get no DNA test when I wasn't the one creeping and sleeping around with other people.
He wasn't creeping.
But I need you to understand, if he never told them he was your boyfriend or you were committed to him, do you understand why the family could then say, okay, well, she's saying it's his child, he said it wasn't, we need a DNA test?
I don't understand. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't understand why he didn't bring me up.
I do.
Well, I'd like to hear from you, ma'am. Please stand.
Okay.
State your name.
Yes, my name is Ebony Lee. I'm the mother of Shaquay Lee.
Okay.
And we met Kevin Harris about 6 years ago.
Okay.
He was my neighbor in Carverdale. He was a nice guy to the neighborhood that I thought he'd do a lot of things for the kids and things like that. But he do have multiple women. So I do understand why she's up here saying that. I'm not going to deny it.
When your daughter told you she was pregnant, did she tell you who the father was immediately?
We were all in my garage. Kevin Harris said,
I had
do
him
you want to
come
be a
to the
grandma?
house.
But she told you that Mr. Harris was the father.
I'm positive, yes. And then he asked me if I want to be a grandmother in my garage. It was one night, and I said, no, I don't want to rock a cradle. I
And
had
he
kids
said,
while I
and he
was
touched
young.
my stomach. He said, well, you got a grandbaby on the way.
And
Well,
he
you were
did.
pregnant. That doesn't mean it was his.
Did you think your daughter was also intimate with anyone else at the time?
No, not at the time. She was crazy over him. I never understood why she act like that toward him, like so attached, always around him. He's at my house, I'm at his house. Even when I moved to the Northwest Side, he would come over. I never did get why they were crazy over each other and this, and that.
He
when he
lived
wasn't
with
a
another
one-woman
lady
man.
on the Northwest
He-
Side.
He wasn't a one-woman man.
What are your hopes, Miss Thompson? Do you want this beautiful baby to be in your family?
It's, don't get me wrong. I love kids. That's a beautiful baby. I would love for her to be my niece. No problems. If she is my niece, she will never know him. This is another child growing up without a father. So if she is his child, it's a beautiful yet
It's bittersweet.
bittersweet.
Understood. Jerome, I'm ready for the results.
Okie dokie. There you go.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. To be clear, because there wasn't a blood card available to test the DNA of the deceased, Kevin Harris, we performed a DNA test with his surviving parents. With that being said, the results determine if there is a viable relationship between the child, Nevaeh Harris, and the surviving parents of Kevin Harris and Nikita Thompson. In the case of Thompson versus Lee, when it comes to 3-month-old Nevaeh Harris, it has been determined by this court, Nevaeh Harris is related to Miss Thompson. That is your brother's child.
It's okay. Well, you still don't need him, baby. You don't need him. Pick up that face over there.
I mean, I ain't got nothing to say already.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something in this moment. I was nervous when I read that result because I did not want you to be disrespectful in the moment, because it was an important moment, not just for you both.
Yes, ma'am.
It's an
It's for the
important
baby.
moment for this baby. And even in the moment when your mother leaned over to you and was going to instigate and be negative, I appreciated, as a young woman with a baby, dealing with all you've dealt with, you didn't go negative with her. I heard what your mother said to you. I heard it. You didn't react in an immature way, And I think this is such an important moment. And even for you, Miss Thompson, to see, for whatever you thought about this young girl, now you know she's the mother of your brother's child.
Yes.
I think we need to start from this place and this real moment, figuring out how we create a healthy, happy life for this baby that has to live and grow up without her father. Mr. Peterson, just 1 month ago, your world came crumbling down when your wife, Mrs. Peterson, revealed she had been keeping a secret, that your 22-year-old daughter, LaJoya Jackson, may not be your biological daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Mrs. Peterson, you admit that 22 years ago, during the window of conception, you had sex with another man, Mr. Beckham, but you want to prove today in court that Mr. Peterson is Ms. Jackson's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Peterson, explain to the court what happened just a month ago.
I work third shift, so I'm not at home a lot, but I came home, went to sleep, got up the next morning, not expecting anything out of the ordinary. My daughter, LaJoya, and her mother, my wife, Latia, they were outside talking, and I got up to go outside to say good morning, and before I could say anything, I heard LaJoya say, "What? Milton might not be my dad?" I looked at my wife and I said, "What is she talking about?" And she ignored me. I asked her again. She kind of teared up and she walked off. I didn't want to start an argument or a confrontation, so I just went on back in the house and waited for her to calm down. But she finally told me about 2 days later that there was somebody in the past.
And Ms. Peterson, do you remember this conversation?
Yes, Your Honor.
And those were the words you uttered to your daughter, that Mr. Peterson may not be her biological father?
Yes, they are, Your Honor.
So up until this point, Mr. Peterson, you had no doubt that LaJoya was your daughter?
None at all whatsoever. We have so much in common. I never, ever would have thought that this would be going on. Never.
And you and Mrs. Peterson, you've been together for how long? 23 years?
Yes.
And married for 13 of those years?
Yes.
So this is a long-standing relationship?
Yes.
And you never knew?
No.
You've kept this secret this long, Ms. Peterson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why?
I didn't want to harm my family or break what I built.
When we first got together, I thought she was a virgin. I asked her about past relationships. She told me that they were not sexually active, but she did have other boyfriends before me. So that's why I'm where I'm at now.
And that's why you had no question?
Right.
But in fact, you were not a virgin when you met him, Ms. Peterson?
No, I wasn't, Your Honor.
So, LaJoya, when you first heard this news, what were you thinking?
I've had some suspicion for almost a year now. We were out of state, we just moved here, and a guy just randomly came up to my door and was like, "Oh, your mom told me where you live at. I'm your father. I went to jail and your mom said another guy was your father because she didn't want nobody not to be there for you." When I first came to my mom about it, she was like, "Oh, that's an old friend of mine, but he's like not right in the head. He's funny. I don't know why he says that or whatever." She kind of brushed it off, but I said it in front of my father, Mr. Peterson. I said it in front of him, but she was like kind of trying to quiet it off, like, "Don't talk about it right now," you know?
How did it happen that just a month ago you revisited this situation with your mother?
A month ago, I was previously in court because I had a similar situation with my child's father. With my boyfriend, I lied and told him that he was not the father, but I didn't like having that between us, and I came clean to him. So then I confronted my mother, which is the conversation that my father, Mr. Peterson, walked in on, and asked her, "Do you want to just go and do it so that, you know, just for my clarity, because I'm feeling some type of way about it, you know?" And she had never admitted that there was a possibility of one guy being my father, potentially being my father. And then I found out there were multiple guys that could possibly be my father.
Wow. So, Mrs. Peterson, this now, I'm sure, has affected your marriage.
Yes, it has, Your Honor.
Because you told LaJoya there were multiple men that could be her father.
Your Honor, we barely have a family anymore. It started from us daily arguing to them not speaking at all, to my mother sleeping in the car in the driveway. She ended up getting so sick from sleeping out in the rain, and it just got so bad. It's like, we don't even talk anymore.
You don't talk to your father or your mother?
None of us. It's like we don't exist to each other. It's not as much as I'm mad at him, it's as much that I'm hurt to look at him every day. He doesn't eat. He goes days without sleeping, and like that hurts me, you know? I know that it's not my fault, but I still feel so involved just for the simple fact that I don't want to see him like that.
Wow, you're right, sweetheart. It is not your fault. But I can imagine how it feels to see the man you love as your father going through this. Mr. Peterson, this hurts.
A lot.
I can see.
A lot. I try very hard to stay around and be there, especially for the grandkids, because my grandparents were there for me, and I want to be that same type of example to them. And they call me grandpa, and every time I see them, I love you, and run up to me and give me a hug, and that touches me. And I lost my grandfather not too long ago. So while I'm still young, I want to be there for them.
Mrs. Peterson, would you have ever said anything if this man had not approached her a year ago? Had you planned to take this secret to your grave?
Yeah, she did. She did, Your Honor. It just feels so weird knowing that it's a potential that somebody else could be my father, because I never thought that this could happen to me. Never thought. I never used to think as a child like, oh, this might not be my dad. I just wake up and be like, oh, Dad, make me some cereal. Not, oh, this might not be my dad. And now if he feels as if he can't take this and I'm not his child, he can walk away at any moment. And he has no ties or connections to me or my children if he's not my father.
All these years, everything's been perfect up until a couple of months ago, or it's been arguing back and forth like we don't even know who each other are anymore. I feel like I'm in a whole nother place, but my body is over here. I'm not where I'm supposed to be.
Mrs. Peterson, you say if there could be multiple men that are her father, that means during the window of conception, around the time she was conceived, you were with different men. How were you able to pull that off and be in a committed relationship with Mr. Peterson?
I was very young. I knew better, but I didn't think about the consequences before I did things. I go to parties and drink and everything like that and then go home with people.
You were young, so he wouldn't necessarily think you were missing. You were just at a party. You just went to a party.
Right.
He wasn't thinking you were having sex with people after the party.
Correct.
So the other man that's in court today is Mr. Beckham. Can you explain the nature of your relationship with him?
We partied together, we drank together, we had sex a couple times.
And he potentially could be LaJoya's biological father.
Yes.
Along with the other 12 men, right?
Yes.
The number is 12?
No, that's not the exact number, but more and more men just keep coming out the woodworks.
Mrs. Peterson, Mr. Beckham, the other possible father, did you ever tell him you were pregnant and he could potentially be the father?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
All right, I think it's time we meet Mr. Beckham. LaJoya, please go stand with your father. And Jerome, will you please escort Mr. Beckham into the courtroom, please? Thank you for joining us today, sir.
How are you?
We are getting down to the bottom of this paternity situation as it relates to LaJoya Jackson. When did you find out that you could potentially be her biological father?
I found out like about 2 weeks ago. She contacted me through Facebook. And basically she had told me once before that, you know, she could have been pregnant or whatever. So, but I moved away. But basically, you know, we had met at a party, you know, we was drinking. And, you know, there was a lot going on.
But drinking mean that you couldn't have been the father.
Right, but exactly.
Why didn't you try to pursue and seeing what was going on?
Well, basically at the time, I was young, I was scared. And, you know, I really just wasn't ready to be a father at that time.
So when you grew up, why didn't you try to contact her like, oh, let me see what she did with the child or anything? Like, that's a straight deadbeat move right there. Like,
yeah, I
might have a child in this world, but I don't care. I'm just gonna go on, move away, whole out of state, 1,000,000 miles away, and not even see if the child is mine.
Did Mrs. Peterson say to you, I'm pregnant and you're the father?
Yeah, somewhat like that. She said it. I could be the father.
You could be.
Yeah.
Mrs. Peterson, you testified that you did not tell him you were pregnant.
I didn't.
So is he remembering the story wrong?
Yes, Your Honor.
So he's remembering it wrong or you're remembering it wrong? Because to me, neither one of y'all got y'all story straight. I just want to know
Neither
what
one of us are the
For
same
real.
person we were.
Yeah,
Hold on, I want to hear your testimony. What are you saying, Mrs. Peterson?
I said that we're not liars. Neither one of us are the person that we were.
I mean, I know you
And
grew
I've
up
been your
since
mother
before
every day
then.
since then.
You have been my mother, but you've been lying to me about who my father is for 22 years. Every day when I gotta wake up and see that y'all arguing, you sleeping in the car, and this guy right here just sitting there looking like, oh, this doesn't affect his life, and you ruining my family. And you don't care. Oh, we was drinking, we was having a party, but you don't care. Because at the end of the night, you're going to go home to your family. You probably got a family. I don't know because I never saw you a day in my life because you never tried to contact me.
It's my first time ever seeing you a day in my life.
Right, and it looks like you don't care.
I mean, I do care. I want to find out if I am your father. I really do. That's why I'm here. Because if I am your father, then I'm going to step up and do what I'm supposed to do for you. You know, it's not my fault that me and your mom was young and we were kids, you know, and basically my family moved away. And so therefore, that's how I really lost contact. But small world though, we all here together, so today we're gonna find out. And I really do wanna know. I'm sorry for, you know, not being there if I am your father. I really apologize for that. But we're gonna find out today, LaJoya, because I really wanna know.
Ms. Peterson, when you see your daughter in this much pain, do you regret not telling her sooner?
Yes. This is not what I meant to happen.
Mr. Peterson, I know this hurts because LaJoya is your only child with Mrs. Peterson.
She's our only child.
And so if she's not your biological child, this relationship you've had for all of these years,
It's gonna break my heart. If she's not mine, it's, like I said, I feel like I wasted a lot of time. Now I gotta start all over again because I would like to have a family of my own if she's not my daughter. I don't wanna leave from her family, but I would like to have me a family.
are you saying that if you are not LaJoya's biological father,
I'm gone.
you are going to get a divorce? You're going to pursue a divorce?
I'm gone. I hurt her, she hurt me. That's not what love is about. I got to go if she's not mine.
I think it's time for the results. Jerome? Sure. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Peterson versus Peterson, when it comes to 22-year-old LaJoya Jackson, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Beckham, you are not her father. In the case of Peterson versus Peterson, when it comes to 22-year-old LaJoya Jackson, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Peterson, you are not her father.
Oh my God. Are you serious? Really, Mom? Every time, though. Like, I came and asked you, just tell me before we go, do you know? Oh, I know he's the father. I know. I thought you knew, Mom. I thought you knew.
I thought.
I thought
don't you know?
I'm sorry. I did think he was your father, or I wouldn't be here.
I'm so very sorry, LaJoya. I'm so very sorry. I know how much you all wanted a different result.
Yep.
I walked out of here with no father, Your Honor. Nobody. I don't have nothing now.
I'm still gonna be here. I'm still gonna be here. I ain't going nowhere.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
No.
Please. I'll find him.
I don't want to keep going through this.
He's still your family.
But we not family.
That's fine. She's still my daughter.
You worried about that?
It's my mistake. I will do what I can. I will fix this.
You gonna fix me too?
Ms. Peterson, is it one man in particular you truly believe is her biological father after getting the results from Mr. Beckham and the results from Mr. Peterson? There is another man.
Yes.
You know where he is.
Yes.
That's a start.
Mr. Taylor, you claim that you've always believed and never doubted that the defendant, Jasmine Taylor, is your biological daughter. You hope today's results will put an end to Jasmine's doubts so the two of you can work on rebuilding your relationship. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Taylor, you are here with Mr. Taylor and say you made the biggest mistake of your life by saying words out of spite that you now regret. Your daughter heard those words and believes Mr. Taylor is not her father. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Ms. Jasmine Taylor, you state since you were 5 years old, you have doubted that Mr. Taylor is your biological father and believe another man is your dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so, Ms. Taylor, you say you let something slip and now you haven't been able to live it down.
I made a mistake. I said some things out of spite because he no longer wanted to be with me. So I did have a relationship with somebody else. I had sex with him one time.
So you admit you made some very critical mistakes.
Yeah.
And Ms. Taylor, you say because of that and because of what you heard and because of how you felt as a child, you don't believe Mr. Taylor is your biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain that to the court?
Well, when I was younger, like around the age 5, you know, my parents, they had got into an argument and I overheard it about my mother saying that, oh, well, that's not your daughter anyway. So ever since then, you know, I always wanted to know, like, who's my real father? Is this my father or not?
And you remember distinctly hearing that?
Yes, definitely.
I mean, I really wish I would have never said that. I wish I would have never put you through this. I would not. I don't know how you feel, but I feel how you feel. And I know that Dallas loves you. I definitely love you. He definitely loves her. He definitely wants a relationship with her.
And Miss Taylor, because you heard those words 20 years ago and have carried this for 20 years, you just can't accept and know for sure, no matter what your mother says today, that bell is rung in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit.
Yes. And you just left and you came back, but you really didn't, you know, you say that you wanted to be he said he always going to be my father and all of that, but.
And so, all right, I want to understand this. So, Mr. Taylor, Ms. Taylor, you two were married.
We didn't get married until after Jasmine was born.
Okay, but you were married when this incident happened.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you take me to the nature of your relationship during the time when you got pregnant with Jasmine?
Okay. We were dating. We broke up. And it was a guy that one of my girlfriends introduced me to because I thought I was going to get into the record industry, you know. So I started, you know, letting him come around, chill out. Wasn't having sex with him or anything, but he was giving me money, like $300 and $400 a week, and coming over. So
So you, bottom line is you were in a relationship with Mr. Taylor, dating, but you met this guy who was kind of whining and dining you and trying to take care of you.
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor, do you remember this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
What was your perception of the relationship at that time? Were you in a committed relationship? What was your understanding?
Yes, we was in a committed relationship, but we was just living in 2 different states at the time. Then she told me she was pregnant.
Okay.
Then I decided to move her back to Maryland at that time.
All right, so at the time she told you she was pregnant, you all were in 2 different states?
Yeah.
Okay. So this all sounds like it's going just fine.
Yes, everything going
So were
fine.
you at the birth?
Yes, I was at the birth.
You signed the birth certificate?
Signed the birth certificate, the whole 9.
So you're there?
Yes.
So what happens?
I was like maybe 4 months when I realized I was pregnant. And my period has always been irregular. By the time that I realized that I was pregnant, I did sleep with the other guy, but I don't know.
Can you tell me what happened? How many times were you intimate with this other guy?
Once, and then I moved to Maryland. Next thing you know, he was taking me back to Maryland. I never had no doubt. I always believed that he was the father. It's just that 5%.
What 5%?
That I slept with the other guy.
And where did we get that statistical analysis from?
Because
5%.
Because I'm not sure when I got pregnant. I'm not sure.
So we really don't know that it's 5%.
It could be 50-50.
Because you really don't know when the window of conception
I
was.
really don't know.
So the bottom line is you were kind of in this relationship, but still entertaining this other guy because you all were in a long distance relationship.
Yes.
And you did have sex with this other guy unprotected?
Yes.
Were you ever honest with Mr. Taylor and say, I slept with this other guy during the window of time when Jasmine was conceived or when the baby was conceived? Did you ever let him know that?
I didn't want to mention it because then it would be like he wouldn't even want me. He wouldn't even want to bring me back. And I wanted to be back in a relationship with him and hopefully to get married. We did get married.
I get it. We're here to tell the truth. No reason to come all the way to paternity court and then get to lying.
Right.
That is counterproductive.
Right.
So the truth is you didn't say anything to Mr. Taylor, but you knew it could be a viable possibility.
Exactly.
Now, did you ever tell that other guy, I am pregnant. This baby could be yours, but my real boyfriend is coming back to get me and I want to go with him?
Yes.
You did. And what was his response?
He said, well, I want to see her. I want to see her. She was maybe, 9 months? And we came to Jersey to visit my grandmother. I let him see her.
So, Mr. Taylor, around 9 months, Miss Taylor says they went back up to Jersey and she let the other guy see Jasmine. Do you know that?
I never knew that.
You didn't know that?
Until today.
Until today?
Yes.
I didn't know that either until today.
Okay, so what happened when your wife said to you, you not the father, when you all get in that heated argument and she drops that bomb, what goes through your mind?
Well, at that time, when she told me that, that I may not be the father, then it wasn't that big of a deal to me. Only thing that makes somebody care in that situation is money. So when we wasn't together, and that's when all the problems came, because when we wasn't together, and then it's all about child support and that. So I'm like, okay, then that's when the problem came about to me.
All right, so I want to hear from Jasmine. Miss Taylor, so up until this argument, this time when you heard this phone call, your mom maintained that Mr. Taylor was your biological father.
Yes. And then later on, like when I was probably like 12, she had said this other guy was my dad.
Wait, how did that conversation happen?
It was like she just like, oh, well, hey, after, when I was 5, he had, took my sister and told him that I wasn't his daughter. So, of course, I'm like, well, I obviously got another dad out here somewhere. So it has to be, I didn't just get here. We ain't go to a clinic and just make me. So it got to be another father somewhere. So she finally just opened her mouth and said, well, this other guy, it's a possibility that he could be your father.
And then what was your response? Do you remember how that conversation went?
I was like, well, okay, I just wanted to know my father. I just wanted to know who he was. I was like, okay. And I was just with whatever she was saying. But I didn't know that, the whole
reason that the paternity was about child support. So now I know. I'm just learning that today.
I just never had
So
a
basically,
doubt that Jasmine
the doubt was because of child support. Now I get it. He didn't want her to put him on child support because she said that I wasn't his. So you treat me.
Take a break. Take a break, hon. Take a breath.
Because it's some money. That's what.
But I never had a doubt that she wasn't my child.
I get it. It's about money.
It was just the situation at the time when because she'd have told me that I wasn't. So
Okay, you making it worse. Let me explain this to you, baby. No, because I can see you're in tears, and I get why you're hurt. And I know what you heard, because the truth is, I skipped over that part because I didn't want him to go there like that. And this is why sometimes kids don't need to hear grown folks' conversations, right? And I'm gonna be honest. But the bottom line is, what he doesn't understand is he should be paying child support
because legally you're my father because you're on the birth certificate.
And thank you.
It doesn't even matter.
There you go. And that's what I want you to know. That the whole conversation was convoluted anyway, because once he signed on the dotted line, he is legally obligated to take care of you. So that shouldn't even be a discussion. So, Ms. Taylor, because of all of this, at some point you went searching for this other guy. Can you tell the court what happened?
Well, about last year, I had reached out to him and wrote him a message because I just wanted to know. Like, I was like,
You had his name? Mm-hmm. Where'd you get it from?
Oh, my mom.
So she gave you the name?
Yeah.
And then you went on Facebook and found him? Mm-hmm. Sent him a message?
Yeah, I sent him a message.
And he responded back. What did he say?
He didn't respond. He blocked me.
So you submitted that message to the court. Let's look at that.
Mm-hmm.
You wrote, I just really want to know who my real father is. I didn't ask to be here, and I shouldn't be blamed for feeling upset or angry. I just want to know the truth. So can you get a DNA test? You were asking him, can you do this so I can get an answer?
Yes.
And then he blocks you, and you see you can't reply to this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And when you saw that, honey, what were you thinking?
I mean, I was upset because I just want to know. I just want to know where I come from. I just want to make sure, this man right here, like, if this is my father, I just want to know. My grandparents and everything. I just want to make sure that this is my family. I just want to know where I come from. Because it's just like I just go through so much, and I just really need to know.
I just wanted to say something that he always talks to me about Jasmine. Why won't Jasmine talk to me? He loves her. He wants that to be his daughter.
So,
he feels that it's his daughter. He'll do anything and everything for Jasmine. He really cares.
So this paternity doubt has really destroyed your relationship.
Oh yeah, and I probably just didn't even want to even discuss it at that time because it didn't.
There you go. Be honest.
Right.
Be honest.
It didn't even matter anyway. This didn't matter about that to me, but I understand how it affected you for the fact that, if I come and take your sister and don't take you, that's the worst thing in the world probably can happen to somebody, at that time,
Traumatized to a 5-year-old. Listen, it was an adult argument between a husband and wife.
Right.
And anybody that's been married knows you have those days and you had those arguments, and the next day you'd be like, oh, I was tripping, to yourself. I mean, you know what I mean? The other person might be tripping, but you got to acknowledge, like, oh, I didn't need to really go there with all of this. And that's grown folk stuff. But that's why, for me, these conversations are so important, because this young girl heard that. It resonated in her heart, and for 20 years, she's been wearing those glasses. Mm-hmm. And I want to try to do my best in this moment to relieve you of any further frustration by getting you the results you so desperately need. All right?
Okay.
All right, Jerome, I'm ready for the results. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Taylor versus Taylor, when it comes to 25-year-old Jasmine Taylor, It has been determined by this court. Mr. Taylor, you are not the father.
Oh, God.
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I'm very sorry, Jasmine.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Jasmine.
You can say that. That's what we do in this courtroom.
That I know that they will have I want them to have a relationship, you know.
They have a relationship.
They have a relationship.
We saw that. That is her.
Father.
That's her daddy. That's the person she grew up relying on. But Miss Taylor, we cannot right now talk our way out of the fact that this little girl has been holding this pain for 20 years.
It's the only dad I know.
Huh?
It's the only dad I